Hey guys, welcome back to another vlog. In this vlog, there's not that much that's going to be happening because there isn't that much happening at the moment. However, in the UK, we have been told the gyms are opening on the 12th, and that started getting my cogs spinning and thinking, what am I going to do? How am I planning this? What about my contest prep? And I was deliberating then with a secondary plan. This is where having a coach can be really helpful, or having someone in your circle can be really helpful, because, well, a coach should guide you through this and have that objective plan in place so you don't have to overthink these things, or someone that you trust who's also very kind of knows you and knows your situation can give you some objective guidance that you can then follow. So that's what I'm going to be taking you through in today's vlog, which I think could be pretty helpful for competitors, people looking to diet, just in general planning things out.
So guys, this is my planner. If you're part of the members site, you will have access to all of this information right here, where my training is, where my daily tracking is, and everything like that. And you can see this is my long-term planner that I had. And so I'm just here this week, and I'm going into this week here, where because we have just been told in the UK that our gyms are reopening on the 12th of April, that's the plan at least. I'm hoping they're going to stick to that. I have a feeling they will, but they might not. So what I'd plan to do is next week do the first 3 days hard training, week 4 training, then take the last 4 days as a deload, and then I'd restart week 3 here, and then I'd do week 3, week 4, week 5 deload, active recovery. I want that active recovery because this would have been a long time without a lower volume period, and I just want to somewhat dissipate a ton of fatigue, resensitize, and set myself up for more massing, or rather, sorry, more hypertrophy training, but cutting. And I'd start in the cut with the gyms reopening. However, what this led to is a situation where essentially I think my stage weight is going to be around 175 pounds, based off hitting 180 pounds and looking pretty sharp, based off Andrew Chappelle's comments at that time, where he said, you have 5 to 6 pounds to lose. Maybe I've gained a pound or so since then of muscle tissue, which would be fantastic. And I tend to get lean pretty quick. So that has me ready after 18 weeks. And then I have another 4 weeks leading into the first show, which is in Camberley, UKDFBA, the 5th of September. And then finals is 5 weeks after that in Coventry. So I was like, man, that's quite a bit of time. Is it excessive amounts of time, having 18 to 20 pounds to lose in 22 weeks, 27 weeks? Maybe not for a lot of people, because it's nice to have buffer in there. It's nice to have extra weeks in case something doesn't quite go right, but maybe not for me. So then I made a second plan. So here we have me coming down. I'm currently in this week here. So that's week 3, then week 4, week 5, deload, then another whole mass. Another 5 weeks of massing. Gyms, unfortunately, if they do open, will be in my 4th week of training. I don't know what I'll do in that week. I'll just have to have a think about it. I'll probably use the gym, to be honest, or some bits. And then I'll get in additional time massing. So I'll be a bit heavier. This will push my deload, active recovery, and then I'll start at the start of May. And then I'll have 18 weeks to Camberley. And then I'll have 23 weeks to the Coventry show. And this should still have me, if you see here, 175 pounds. So I'll just about make kind of the weight that I was aiming for. And this has me losing at 1% rate of loss, then a 0.5 rate of loss, then 0.5 here. So I was kind of between the two. There's 4 weeks difference, right? So this is 22 weeks and 27 weeks versus 23 and 18 weeks. 4 weeks for a lot of people isn't a huge thing. But for me, it was somewhat of a big deal.
So I was trying to weigh up the pros and cons versus the two. One of them gives me more time. That allows me more mistakes, more mess ups, more weeks where I don't lose. The other one affords me less of those, but it may be better because I spend less time in that kind of on fire. Me and Pascal talk about it when you get under your body fat settling point, which for me is about 180 pounds. Every bit of time I'm under 180 pounds, I'm on fire. So the more time I'm dieting at that point, probably the worse I'm going to feel, the worse my physique's going to look, the longer my recovery process is going to be outside the other end as well. So whilst two people, if they both get down to the same body fat percentage and come out and everything else is the same, apart from one person has dieted for longer versus the other person dieting for less time, because they've had more time with that exposure at that low body fat, they're going to feel worse, their physique might look worse, and also the recovery time is going to be more protracted. And I don't want that. So I was kind of umming and ahhing, which one should I go for? I asked Charlotte, she was like, what would you do if this was a client? Honestly, I'd go for the longer one, because I'm not my clients, and it's always nice to have those weeks of buffer, just in case something happens, just in case they're not as adherent as I'd hope they'd be. Something's not quite there. I also asked then Pascal what he thought, and didn't really try and bias him either way. And he came back and he said he thought it was quite an obvious answer. He said the shorter one, in that he knows me, he knows that I will execute. There will be nothing that stops me from kind of doing what I need to do, and he knows how quickly I can get lean as well. And so he was more favoring the shorter approach, having 18 to 23 weeks versus having another 4 weeks on top of that. And I think that's the route I'm going to go down, because for me, I agree, I am that type of guy. I get lean quickly, I will execute, and I think also it will stop me having any complacency. If I don't lose for a week, I can be aggressive and push down, knowing that I've only got that period of time and I'll be recovering afterwards. Whereas I think complacency can come in when you have such a long period of time. Obviously, it's all going to be individual to the person, who they are, what their situation is, how lean they are, have they been there before. I've been there before, so I can afford a shorter period of time dieting properly because I know where I need to go. Whereas if you don't know where you need to go, more buffer time is going to be more helpful. So these are all the sort of things you have to think through when making this sort of decision.
So in terms of condition, I just wanted to take you guys through how I was currently looking. So this video here that you're seeing play is from a few days ago. It's from this week. I think I was 192 pounds in this. I've paused that at a terrible time. 192 pounds, which I'm pretty pleased about. I saw my weight bloat up to 193 pounds over the weekend, and I was looking quite a bit softer than this. And that's something to take home, is your physique will fluctuate in how it looks. And you have to remember that, especially like I should know. If I'm bloated, I'm going to be looking worse because I'm kind of watery, distended, that sort of thing. But I'm pretty pleased with this. Obviously, I've got kind of that somewhat half natty lighting because it's coming across from the side here. It's not like directly on me, but I think that's fine. I think you just have to know that that's what you're working with. I don't know what this would look like front on. I could set that up actually. It might be an interesting video at some stage. This is going to present a little bit more shadows and detail. Might make me look a bit leaner than I am, but I know myself, and that's important. And also, if you're diagnosing clients with similar lighting, you should know, because you might use that lighting yourself, so you kind of know what it looks like on you, so you can compare it for what it looks like on them. But I'm pretty pleased with how that was looking, and how this kind of front relax is looking. Definitely better than it has done in the past. Really pleased with my front double bicep at the moment. And actually, it's funny, I look at this and my condition here, and I sit here thinking, this looks leaner than I feel. That's quite often the case for a lot of people as well. I find for a lot of clients, they'll be feeling a bit soft, a bit flat, and then they'll take some form videos and they're like, oh, actually I look better than I thought I did, which is really cool. So something I've been playing around with recently. I don't really like my side poses at the moment, particularly my side chest. Something looks off. I've been doing this for a while, this pose. It's one that I worked with Andrew Chappelle on as well, and I don't mind it, but something here doesn't look quite right. It also shuts off my delts quite a bit, versus the one that I normally would hit. This one, bicep looks fuller, delts look fuller. I think chest may even look better. I might look a bit smaller through the waist. I'm obviously covering up my abs and obliques, so maybe as I get leaner, or as I get lean at some stage, that will look better. But everything else, I'm pretty satisfied with the positioning of the kind of side chest here. Side tricep, much prefer this setup. I'm used to just have the same leg setup as the other one, but looking decent. Pleased with the side tricep, nothing too worried about that. That's always been a relatively decent pose for me, but the back poses are something that's really come up for me lately. And I do think I actually hold quite a bit of fat on my back though. It might just be me thinking that, but here, my back, if I was to compare it to a previous like back double bicep, my back looks the most improved. But I just wonder how much, I'm kind of nervous to how much fat I'm holding here. So I might look like I have a very thick back, but could be like thick, thick and fat. So I'm a little bit nervous to see how that comes down, because I know kind of the Christmas tree with the striations through the lower back and the erectors has been an area that I've struggled with in the past. But everything else, like even hamstrings, like you can see something here. It's not like they're just completely fat, and it's just nice, like no thigh gap here. This actually looks quite X-framey to me, which is really cool. And of course, my biceps have come up, and arms in general, but biceps in particular have come up a ton, which is making my actual front poses look powerful, like front double bicep, rear double bicep. I mean, it's got bicep in the name, right? So if you have big biceps, you're going to stand out a little bit. So I don't think they are like obscenely huge to the rest of me look silly, but they look strong. Rear lat spread, pretty reasonable. Waist isn't actually looking too big, and I have a big waist, so I'm pretty pleased with that. I'm pleased that there's detail in my quads. I wouldn't normally have detail in my quads. I think that's just down to more development. Obviously, I just hold my body fat quite evenly, maybe less even on my front than on my back. So yeah, pretty pleased with the shape we're looking at. Guys, I appreciate that footage was kind of stretched, so you couldn't see me properly. I probably look a bit wider than I really am. It probably looked a bit odd, but you got an idea of how I'm sitting at the moment in terms of my level of conditioning and that sort of thing, which is what the basis of the decision was made upon. Further to that, literally just recently had a podcast, and it's probably already, some people may have even watched this before this vlog comes out, with Jackson Pios talking about their recent ice cap trial, where diet breaks seem to have mostly a psychological benefit, not physiological, which puts into question their utility during a prep, when sometimes they're psychologically actually difficult to do. Even if they might abate some hunger, is it worth the extra time spent at that lean body fat? So yeah, definitely a really great conversation with him, and definitely gave me some new thoughts going forward, which again just gives me more weeks, because I planned in those maintenance weeks, which they're not going to be big deficit weeks by no means, but I probably won't be kind of just plateauing for a week versus actually maybe seeing a bit of progress during those deload weeks. Possibly. I need to wrap my head around the consequence of being in a slight deficit during a deload, and whether or not kind of when you are that lean you're risking anything in terms of muscle tissue, which is a question in its own way, but I won't blab about that too much here. All I want to say is that plans can be made and plans can change given the current circumstances. I think having a plan and a backbone of an idea of where you're going is so helpful, but you don't always have to follow that to the T, and it's okay to change your mind. And it's helpful having someone, like I reached out to Pascal, to give you that outside perspective looking into things when you aren't, say, having a coach to do that with, and you are self-coaching, because sometimes we think differently to how the reality is, and we can be our own worst enemy in that sense. So guys, hopefully this has been interesting. Hopefully you've taken something away from this vlog, and I'll catch you in the next one.